four, three, two, one. What's up, everybody? How's it going, man? Happy NFL wild card weekend. Pretty crazy. Some good games. Some good games. I really have lost a lot of faith in the NFL over this entire year. If you haven't watched me or followed me, I'll get into that a little deeper. But I was at about 70% happy with what I saw today with the NFL. I'm sorry, this weekend. Not 100%. I didn't like the Texans game, didn't like the Steelers game, but the Steelers game did kind of bring me back in a little bit. I thought we could have had a game there, but we'll get into that. But right away, I'm just going to say my name is Jason J. Daniel. We are streaming live on X, live on YouTube, and live on Rumble. Welcome to the Jason J. Daniel Show. I talk politics, pop culture. I'm an actor. I like to definitely talk current events. And if you've been following me on these platforms and watching my show lately, it's been a lot of politics and a lot of obviously LA stuff, which is going on, the LA fires. Shout out to all of them out there recovering. I'm in California, so I'm in this boat with you a little bit. I'm not going to say I'm with you 100% because I'm not in LA, but I feel you. But we're going to take a break from that and we're going to talk NFL. The NFL is heating up. They actually did move a game to Arizona. There's a tomorrow night's wild card Monday night game, Minnesota at Rams, but they're actually in Arizona. So we'll talk about that. I got a couple of folks that might join us and talk NFL. Some really cool NFL fans. If you haven't followed me yet, please smash that follow button. Follow me on X, follow me on Rumble, and subscribe on YouTube. I did get shadow banned on YouTube because of some of my political opinions, but that's okay. So if you subscribe and like or comment, a like and a subscription on YouTube is very powerful. It helps me beat the algorithm. If you haven't followed me on Rumble or subscribed, that would be dope as well. Thanks for watching. Shout out to Rumble. I'm streaming through the Rumble Studio app. And if you haven't followed me on X, I'd really appreciate it. If you're watching this after football, if you're looking for some football content, well, here we are. We're here to talk football with you. On TikTok, my name is Coach Goat. I am known as Coach Goat on TikTok because we do sports on TikTok only. I have about 8,000 followers. Okay, a little short of 8,000 on TikTok. But TikTok is kind of the heart and soul of my football talk. Now, right now, I'm going to jump on and do a quick little sound check, which is really important for the folks on X. So sorry for interrupting that for the sound check. Let's see here. Cool. Let's see. Okay, it says I'm live. Oh, here we go. Where it is. Live right there. I got to hit that little open the live window and just make sure audio is coming through. Let's see here. Cool. Let's see. Sounds great. And for those of you watching, streaming live on X, appreciate it. So let's recap, man. Let's recap the wild card weekend. Pretty fun. It was a lot of fun. So in the official playoff bracket, I'll bring that up in a second. Now it looks like we have Kansas City, who had the bye in the AFC. We've got Houston. They're going to go to Kansas City next week on the 18th, and you've got Baltimore. Well, let's just jump into it. Let me just screen present this so you guys can see it with me. Playoff bracket. Here we go. Let's see here. So in the playoff bracket, we've got let me drop that graphic. Cool. So we've got, you can't see it in the corner there, but we got Baltimore, Buffalo. We have the Baltimore Pittsburgh game. It was a little interesting. We'll talk about that in a second. So we've got KC that's got the bye, and then we've got Washington, who is now getting closer to the big dance. Detroit had the bye. Going to be a tough game for Washington. Not a bad team, but it's going to be a tough game. You got the Eagles. The Eagles at 14-3. They have the bye as well. They're going to wait on the winner of Minnesota and the LAR. The LA LAR actually had to move all of their folks over to Arizona. So shout out to them. This is technically a home game for them. Sorry, let me get some water. This is technically a home game, so they get all the advantages of being at home, even though they're not. We talked about this on my TikTok live before we transitioned over. So on Sundays, guys, and on Saturdays for Wild Card Weekend, heading up to the Super Bowl, I will be doing a live on TikTok. Again, I'm Coach Goat on TikTok. I don't have that on a graphic, but they call me the Coach Goat, greatest of all time on TikTok. Thousands of followers, so check it out. Now TikTok may get banned. We'll talk about that in a second in the last part of the show tonight. And we're going to just get into like what that looks like for us that are on TikTok. I have a really strong TikTok following, and it's going to be a shame to lose access to those folks. So I want you guys to come over to my other platforms. Let's stay in touch. Obviously, X is really important. The show does thousands of views on X, so I really appreciate that. So anyway, I digressed. So we had a really great game tonight. A couple of good games. Tonight we had the Washington-Tampa game, which I thought was really good. I'm very, like I said earlier, I'm really down on the NFL because of all the cheating that the Chiefs do. I'm going to bring somebody on this week. We're going to talk Chiefs and Niners this week, so stay tuned. Follow or subscribe on X, Rumble, or TikTok because we're going to do a lot of NFL talk moving forward as we get into deeper in the playoffs. The Detroit-Philly game, I'm sorry, the Green Bay-Philly game, not interested in really talking about that. The Eagles are a really good team, and they held back a little bit because they had a lot of injuries going into the postseason last year, so they've learned. The Packers are not a good team. A lot of it has to do with their running back. I know you're not going to agree with me, but just do the math. Every time Josh Jacobs moves to a new team, the team struggles, okay? So they don't have a solid running game. He's not a playmaker. You might think he is, but look at where they're at. This happens to every team he's on. Not a playmaker. They should have never let Aaron Jones go, and look at where Aaron Jones is at. Still in the playoffs, and they have a really good shot, a better shot than Green Bay did. Green Bay did not – we can talk Green Bay all day. Green Bay did not sneak up on anybody this year. I think that the whole bullshit of the NFL going overseas is detrimental to the NFL. It's terrible on the guys. The games are bad. The games are weird. You can't predict them. Fantasy is weird. Guys have huge games on weird turf in another country or in a weird stadium, and then it never materializes when they come to the mainland, domestic. It doesn't materialize here, or guys have really terrible games and they just get off to a terrible start and then they blow up and you just can't figure it out. It's terrible for the NFL. I know they want to expand over there, so I just say just fucking expand, move operations over there. Get international players, get American players, whatever, get worldwide players, start setting your hubs up. We know what you're trying to do. It's just easier if you have a division over there. That would be a great thing. I think it would be awesome for the world, and it would make it great for parity, but it's very difficult when you fly guys and teams back and forth. It's super difficult. So anyway, that being said, Green Bay never recovered from that week number one game. So I blame the NFL. But when it comes to a guy getting a leg injury and he's a quarterback that's used to staying in the pocket, you have no idea what that's like. It's just chaos. It's like a car wreck. You've got bodies everywhere, and you have to have two things on your side: courage and also experience. The more experience and courage you have back there, and you have to have a lot of toughness. You're going to take hits. You're going to get hurt. The great ones are always injured. The great ones have injuries. Unfortunately, a lot of the great quarterbacks have CTE, concussions. Guys are getting smashed in the pocket. So when you got a guy that gets in the pocket and gets hurt like he did early, it's just really, really difficult to kind of shake that. It takes months. It takes a whole season to get back in the pocket and be resolute and just kind of get your legs underneath you. So Green Bay really struggled because of the injuries, and they just don't have a good running game. So it is what it is. I did not expect them to be competitive, and they weren't. I wasn't surprised. Eagles, though, had a nice little walkthrough, 2/7. I think it was really important for the Eagles to not get number one. I like that. Look, they have a great record. Eagles are 14-3. We'll talk about them in a little bit. I'm not concerned about Detroit getting to the big dance. I know this is going to come off odd. I think they can beat Washington and get to the next round. I'm not sure about the Eagles. So my question is not, will the Lions get to the big dance? I definitely think whoever, if let's say Philly it plays, I'm jumping ahead. My big question is, will the Eagles get there? Because the Eagles, I think the Eagles played really well. They have a very well balanced team, but I'm just concerned about their receivers. That's what I'm concerned with. I'm not concerned about their defense. They played really well today. I'm just concerned about the passing game. You have an incredible quarterback, so I'm not taking anything away from him. Hurts is insane, but he has to have guys that are accurate and that can get that separation. So that is a concern. Let's see here. I'm going to see if we got anybody. Oh, we got some folks in the chat. Oh, right on. Guys, thanks for. By the way, if you get into the chat on any of the apps as I'm streaming live, I can see you. Bronco says, Chiefs, I think I can pin that. Can I pin that one up? Oh, here we go. Let's talk about, okay, comments. Chiefs three-peat. Everybody knows it's coming. That's a really, really, hold on here. Let me stop sharing. That is a really great point. Yes, I agree with you. I'm going to answer that. I agree with you. Chiefs are going to three-peat, and not for the reason you think. The NFL has rigged it, and they're going to get that three-peat no matter what they have to do. There's $1 billion, probably $1 trillion, honestly, over the next 3 years, probably $1 trillion in marketing that is leveraged on this playoff run and Super Bowl win in the three-peat. What we have seen is preposterous with the amount, and we'll talk about Chiefs more. Now, if you want to scroll down, we did a big Chiefs conversation last week. You can check that out. Scroll down on my videos. We talked a lot about it. I'm not being a hater. The entire world knows the Chiefs cheat, but I'm not blaming them because what are you going to do? If you get a flag for unnecessary roughness and it wasn't unnecessary roughness or it wasn't pass interference, what are you going to do? Pick the flag up? No, you're going to take it. The Chiefs take advantage. I do think the Chiefs have a very solid team, and I'm not downing Kelsey, Taylor Swift. I'm not downing Mahomes or his wife. I'm not downing them at all. I'm just saying I don't think they've had a fair playing field, and I know it's advantageous for the Chiefs to get the three-peat. Broncos says, let's go Redskins. Flex, what's up, man? Flex is jumping back and forth. Flex, if you want to jump on, I did send you the link. Guys, if you want to join the conversation, just ask for it, and I can send you a link so you can jump in. On NFL Talk, I like to bring anybody in that wants to talk. Redskins, that's funny. Bronco said, let's go Redskins. I caught you. I got that. That lets me know, Bronco, you've lived a little, because only guys that have or gals that have lived a little would make the Redskins joke. Bills Mafia. Flex says Bills Mafia. Let's talk about the Buffalo Billies. Looking strong. Josh Allen had over 300 yards combined or something like that, 60 yards on the ground. That guy can sling it. I thought they were going to let up on the gas a little bit when the Broncos, look, we know the Broncos just relaxed. These guys, they're going to go fishing. When the game got away from them, they're down by 2 touchdowns. They're like, we're not doing this shit or whatever, 3 touchdowns. And then boom, Allen just hits him with a 55-yard passing TD. He just threads the needle. Man, he's looking really good. So yeah, I'm going to say Bills Mafia is hot. I don't think they're going to beat the Chiefs, only because I think it's rigged. If it wasn't rigged, they'd easily beat the Chiefs. Now, they are a Chiefs killer. I don't know, man. I know it may be redundant and it may drive you crazy, but it's just hard for me to get that out of my head that the Chiefs are going to get to the Super Bowl no matter what, because I do think the NFL is going to do whatever they can to get them there. And keep this in mind, a number of these referees are going to get to be part of the Super Bowl party. So, of course, they're going to make sure there are refs that are assigned to certain teams. They don't mix it up like you think they do. The whole ref game is rigged. That's something we can talk about in the future. These guys know the players. They know how things work. They know how to cheat and get things done. They know how to shave points. And the reason why these refs, maybe the NFL isn't in on it as much as the refs are in on it, and the refs have power of the NFL. Trust me, if the NFL cracked down on the refs, then this shit wouldn't happen. But they don't crack down on the refs. Look, we watch the same videotape. We see what's going on. The NFL sees what we see. They see the social media. They see everybody for the next 2 days going crazy over the cheating, but the NFL continues to let the refs cheat because the refs are in control of the NFL. If the NFL started to say this is wrong, you guys are cheating, and started to crack down on the NFL refs like they should, the NFL would look weak. And then there would be a complete investigation because it would be too many things. They'd be cracking down so much that people would be demanding investigations. So unfortunately, the NFL is completely just handcuffed to these corrupt referees. And why are the referees corrupt? Well, they point shave. They make a lot of money. They have a lot of power. They get a lot of perks. I mean, really, they get to party with the NFL guys. They get a lot of the perks. The NFL guys sweeten the deal. Why wouldn't you want the refs on your side and give them free shit and look, there's been all sorts of scandals throughout the years. The NBA had a very serious scandal about 15, 20 years ago. It is a thing. The referees are as corrupt as you can imagine. I'm not saying all of them, but we know the ones that are because we see it every time they do a Chiefs game. And if some of these refs can get the Chiefs to the three-peat, they're going to be in the big dance too. Don't forget the refs go to these games too. Okay, so it is what it is. So I wanted to talk Eagles. Let's get back on that. Let's go back to the recap. I got caught up in believing my own hype there. Give me a second. All right, so you should be able to see it now. Okay, cool. So we have Detroit in Washington. Let's talk about that. Okay, so we did a little recap very quickly. I'll say Baltimore looks really fierce. They look really strong. Again, I don't think anyone's going to get past the Chiefs. I wish I didn't have that in my head, but I would love Baltimore to get to the Super Bowl. I think that would be a lot of fun. Lamar can really probably take advantage of playing a team like the Chiefs. I think the Bills and I think the Baltimore Ravens can play the Chiefs really well. I think that makes for a really good game. Now, clearly, the Chiefs are going to have to go through one of those teams because Houston might as well not even get on the plane. It is over. Okay. First of all, Houston can't play outside of a dome. Second of all, Stroud is a head case and he's overrated. And in my opinion, at this point, I don't think he's a starter. He had all the weapons and he failed. He's soft. He cries on the sideline. These are not traits of a killer NFL quarterback. Lamar's a killer. Mahomes is obviously an assassin. Golf is getting there. Okay, you've got Hurts as a killer. Obviously, you've got Allen. He's a killer. CJ Stroud is not a killer. He's soft. So that being said, they don't have the tools. The only thing I'd be worrying about if I was Kansas City is the running game of Houston. You shut that down. You're cool. That's the only thing I like about Houston is a running game. And I do like their uniforms are pretty dope. But back to the Chiefs. The Chiefs are just too strong. They are a very good team at this point. I'm not taking anything away from them, but they also have the refs in their back pocket, and they got the Mahomes rules. We know that Patty Mahomes gets all the calls. That is very tough to beat. Plus, talking about the Houston game, they're going to be in fucking Arrowhead. And you know what happens in fucking Arrowhead? Frostbite. At this time of the year, people fucking die over there, okay? It's crazy. Kansas City in this weather is difficult. Mahomes plays really well in the playoffs. Patrick Kelce is at the end of his career. I think who knows what you're going to see from him. He's going to probably have a good game or two. You just never know, but I do know Mahomes is going to play well. He gets the home field advantage all the way through. He knows how to make that work. A lot of you guys believe he's the second coming of Jesus or Joe Montana, whatever. He wins into the ring. Look, I'll give that to you because it will be him and then, it will be Brady and then him if he pulls this off, especially with the three-peat. Look, it is what it is. They still have to win games. I'm not saying it's all cheating. They still have to get a touchdown. They still have to get a couple of touchdowns. They got to kick field goals. They have to win. I get it. They have to play. They got to show up. They got to stay healthy, but the NFL is on their side and maybe fate. Who knows? But KC is going to walk over Houston. If KC has any trouble with Houston, the refs are going to get him out of it. It's all good. So that being said, you've got Baltimore and you got Buffalo. Okay. You've got Baltimore and you've got Buffalo. That's going to be one hell of a game. Honestly, I think that game is going to be one of those, the refs just let them play it out and it's going to get wild. These teams are very similar. Quarterbacks, I think, are extremely similar. I would give Allen the edge. The truth is, I would give Buffalo the edge overall because they're at home and because they have beaten the Chiefs. I think that's motivation, right? I think that's they're the Chiefs killers. I think that helps the team go, okay, if we can get past Baltimore, like I think if you feel like you can beat anybody, then it's a mental advantage. And then you've got Baltimore, who they're just putting it together. They put together a really good game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers were on the road. They have identity problems, but I don't think it's their talent. I think it's their coach. I think their coach is way outmatched. All these other guys are very new, except for a few old cats. Tomlin's way past his prime. Signing him to the extension was nuts. He needs to pack it in, but he's not. So Steeler fans, you're in a lot of trouble. I don't mind the double-headed quarterback monster. I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that's going to be an advantage next year, but their defense did let them down against the Ravens, and I think it has a lot to do with coaching. So Baltimore just put it to him. Plus, Henry's a beast, man. He is a fucking beast. So I don't know who's going to stop him. You tell me. It's going to get tough. Let's check the chat. We're good there. It's going to be tough. So Baltimore at Buffalo, I really want the Ravens to get over that hump. I would love to see them win this game. I'd love to see Buffalo win this game. I think this game is going to be extremely close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think you got to give it to the Bills at home. I do. I think you got to give them a 3 to 7 point advantage. I think Baltimore on the road, it's going to be tough. Now, I think coaching is huge. Look, it could come down to a turnover or some kind of a fluke. If it comes down to turnovers, it's going to be against Baltimore. They have more turnovers. They're more apt to turn the ball over than Buffalo, in my opinion. So let's talk about the NFC. Washington and Detroit. A lot of folks are saying that the Daniels experiment has been a smashing success. I agree. I believe he should have been the number 1 pick. He played really well today, and he won that game. But he beat a Tampa Bay team that is been dinged up. Mayfield is just really a head case at times. I was really surprised that they beat that team, that Washington beat Tampa. Tampa has more experience, but that means you got some older guys. There were some mistakes in tackling towards the end in the fourth quarter. Tampa wasn't able to really take advantage of any of the third or fourth quarter openings that Washington gave them. And at the end, Washington's kicker, he played with his hair a lot. And he's very vain, but he made it happen. He got the doink right in. That's really powerful. When you get those kind of breaks, you need luck, and you need strength, you need courage, and you need strategy in the postseason. And Washington's got all that. Good defense too. Really solid defense. I thought a 23-20 game is a playoff game. That's a game. That's the kind of game you want to see. I don't think you want to see a Pittsburgh 14, Baltimore 28, and 7 of those Pittsburgh points were in garbage time. That's not what you want to see. You don't want to see a Philly beat down Green Bay at home. You don't want to see that. You want very competitive football. And with Washington and Tampa Bay, congratulations. That was a very competitive game. The reason why I'm not talking about Houston, the Chargers, I know you might be wondering about that, is the Chargers are a bad team. Very overhyped. The NFL needed Harbaugh to get in the playoffs. They did. They had a successful season because they made the playoffs. Bad quarterback, overpaid quarterback. It doesn't matter what coach you give him. He's not going to win, especially now with Harbaugh. Harbaugh is not going to be a good coach. Just getting into the playoffs and getting bounced in the first round is a success for the Chargers because they haven't had success in years, and it's success for Harbaugh because he's coming back after a 10-year break from the NFL, and he didn't completely fall on his face. But this guy's a cheater, and if he can't cheat, he's going and has to play fair and square against a coach that's very smart. Look, he got out-coached. A lot of folks are not talking about, but D'Amico out-coached Harbaugh. That's one of the things that you need to really take into consideration if you're a Chargers or a Harbaugh fan. Harbaugh is overpaid. He's overrated. He's not taking that team anywhere. I mean, he'll get you in the first round, you get bounced. You have a lot of problems, so it's not even a conversation for me. That's all I got to say about that. Now, let's talk about Philly. I think it's important that we talk about Philly, and if you're a fan of the Eagles, you're going through a couple of things, Okay. There's a couple of things that you're going through. Okay. One, you're drinking your own Kool-Aid. Okay. I don't think the Eagles, and I have Eagles friends and Eagles fans that hate me for this, but I don't think the Eagles have really been tested by a very good team. I just don't think they have. Now, a lot of people will say they've had a tougher schedule. That's fine. And they're winning those games. But look where it got you. Okay. It got you number 2, which is awesome. It got you a first round bye. I'm sorry, it didn't get you the first round bye, which would have been more awesome. So for me, there's something to be said about that. Now, the NFC is a tougher division. You've got some monsters there, right? You got the Lions. Washington turned out to be a monster we didn't expect them to be. Tampa, very strong team. Eagles are monsters. So you got some monsters, okay? So, I'm just talking about playoff teams. I'm not even talking about the teams that did make the playoffs that had potential. The Eagles have a very good running back, but he's not the best running back in the NFL. I think that's Henry on potential. Okay? Look what Henry did. Look what Henry did to a very good defense. I know the Eagles play very good defense. They have a very good quarterback, but you're up against good quarterbacks. When you get to the playoffs, it is a different mindset. So you cannot drink the Kool-Aid. It's everybody's 0-0 again, right? So those records don't really count in the playoffs. Your status as far as where your defense is ranked counts, and also where you're at in the bracket. That's huge. The home field advantage, huge. The first round bye, huge. Statistically, teams that have those things win Super Bowls or go deep. Niners didn't win, but they had the bye and they had home field last year. The Chiefs had home field and they had the bye and they won. So the two teams last year had all of those advantages. So if we go by that math, which clearly I don't see a reason why we shouldn't, because no one has really stood out to me as a juggernaut. And every time a team started making progress this year, and I thought, oh, that team's a juggernaut, they get beat by a weak team, or they'd have a terrible offensive showing, or their quarterback, like, Darnold would throw 4 picks or some crazy shit, like stuff you couldn't even figure out. Like, for example, I really thought that the Vikings would be more dominant than they are. Now, they've had a good schedule and they've been fairly dominant. I'm sorry, they have a good, not schedule, I'm sorry. They have a good record and they've been fairly dominant, but with the Vikings, they're going to let you in. Defensively, you got a chance to make a run at them. That was the Lions last year. Now, not so much. And with the injuries the Lions had on defense, major injuries, people were like, it's over. They only got stronger. So that being said, let's get back to the Eagles. Coaching is super important. A lot of people are down on the Eagles coaching staff. I am too. So I think there is a weakness there. Now, the Eagles will be playing Minnesota, bad coach, my opinion, not a better coach than Sirianni, or they're going to be playing the Rams, a pretty smart coach. I think he's a better coach. I do think the Rams have had some problems with the younger team. Their wide receivers are a head case. I do think they're going to win that game at home. I ultimately think the Eagles are going to take on the Rams, and I think the Eagles will walk through them. But I do think the Eagles will have a deficit at coaching. Quarterback, I don't think there's a better quarterback right now in the NFC than Jalen Hurts. I just don't see it. Goff is good. Daniels is too young to be the best quarterback. Stafford has, more experience in a ring, but he hasn't played up to that potential. And he doesn't have the running game, the legs and he's not the physical beast that Hurts is. Hurts can hurt you both ways. And that's not so much that's something that Stafford can do, not at this point. So I give the Eagles the advantage at quarterback. I don't think Minnesota is going to be able to get past the Rams. I know what you guys are thinking, but Minnesota's strong. They got a better record and all that stuff. No, man. I mean, it's their defenses. I just mentioned the problem. It's their defense. Their defense is always going to let you back in. And I was saying earlier on our TikTok live, on Real Jason J. Daniel, Coach Goat. Follow me on TikTok. Well, for 7 days before it gets banned. But on our TikTok show, we talked about the fact that the defense will let you back in for Minnesota, and that puts pressure on the offense to score points and pull rabbits out of hats, which they can do. So that being said, jumping back to the Eagles, that's the case I'm making, that the Rams will ultimately face the Eagles. Now, if I'm wrong and it's Minnesota, I think Minnesota has a better shot at beating the Eagles at Eagles. I don't think the Rams can. The reason why is because they're more used to the weather, they're closer geographically, and there's just more explosive offensive power. And I do think you can outshoot the Eagles. I do. That's the one thing I think that a team like Minnesota would have an advantage if they play the Eagles. I don't think the Rams could outshoot them. It's possible. It's possible. I just don't think they could. So can the Eagles get to the dance? That's really the question I have for you guys in the comments. If, as you watch this video later on, tell me what you think. Again, I'm going to try to bring a couple of Eagles guys on, people that watch, fans that have influencers that have Eagles content. I'm going to try to bring a couple of them on and argue this with them, because that's going to be a lot of fun. But we'll do it after tomorrow night, because tomorrow night we'll know who their opponent is. And going back to the bracket, hold on here. Going back to the bracket, let's look at what that looks like. So my biggest question is, can the Birds get to the big dance? So if the Birds at 14-2, if they get the Rams, which I think they're going to do, because we're talking Rams at home, I feel like it's going to be a close game, but they'll get there. Then you got Philly at home, Philly on a rest, which is really important for Philly. I think more important than any other team is the rest. Philly needs that rest. You got Detroit, who's obviously been resting. Phillies, but even the extra game is what I'm talking about. The extra, not having to play today, and then you got the Monday night. That's still a rest, even though they didn't get the bye. So you've got just that extra day is really helpful going into next week. Just to clarify what I was saying about that. So you've got Detroit and you've got Washington. Detroit has the extra week to rest. I don't think that's going to make a huge difference. I think Washington's going to really take it to them. So I think it's going to be Detroit. After what I saw today with Washington, I can't really count them out. I did think Tampa Bay was going to beat Washington. Tampa at home with the experience, a better quarterback. I just didn't see Washington doing it. It was a close game. I thought it was going to be Tampa by 3. So I was off by 3, but it is what it is. These things are really tough to pick, and it might have gone into overtime. We were a doink away from overtime, but I just can't automatically say. And that Washington was a 6 over. Washington could be the new Green Bay, right? Could be this year's Green Bay, not the new Green Bay, but Washington could be the Green Bay that we saw in the last playoffs, where they came out of nowhere and started taking teams out, like ruining the Cowboys. I don't think Washington is sneaking up on anybody. And I know for a matter of fact, the Detroit coaching staff, they're a bunch of meatheads. They gamble too much. They make a lot of mistakes, but they're 15-2 and they're very good. They are much better than Washington's coaching staff, and they're much better than Dallas's last year. So I think if there's any upset we're looking at, Minnesota, Philly, I'm not seeing that as an upset. If Philly plays Rams, I don't see that as the upset. The only upset potential I see is Lions being upset at home by Washington. It's possible. I know that everybody thinks it's not going to happen, and I'm not saying it will, and it's not probable. I'm not even saying it's probable. I'm saying it's in the realm of possibility. Don't count it out that the Lions will fold defensively and let Washington hit him in the mouth real hard, real fast. I could see that happening, and then Detroit making a comeback, with their look. They got Gibbs. They got the running game's mad crazy. They've got wide receivers that are you take them at number one fantasy. Like you take any of that. That's a all-star team right there. You take any of those guys on Detroit and you put them on your team. Not sure. I'm not sold on Goff, but whatever. It is what it is. He can sling that ball. He's a tough cat. That's important. Toughness is important. Experience is important. Now for Tampa, you had some tough, experienced veterans, and here's where I'm going. The Commanders walked right through them. Now, not completely, but almost did. They really commanded that third and fourth quarter. And in the fourth quarter, when they got the ball back, they handled the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and did whatever they wanted with them and just burned the clock out, which shocked me that they were able to do that. So they have good coaching. And Daniels, man, he had a sweet little move there and got that first down and closed that game out. He won that game. He won that game. He played really well against a veteran defense. Okay, so where I'm going with this is you cannot take the Commanders and count them out. If there's going to be an upset in the playoffs, it's going to be this. That game. If there will be an upset, because we haven't seen one yet, it's pretty much gone according to the NFL's plan. But if we see an upset, it's going to be Detroit being beat at home. I'm not saying it's going to happen, so calm the fuck down. This always happens with guys on TikTok. They hear me say, this could happen, be prepared. They flip out. That's not what's going to happen. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's fucking possible. It's in the realm of possibility. So chill the fuck out and listen to the words I'm saying. The Lions are not invulnerable. They can be beat at home. Anybody can be beat at home except the Chiefs, because the Chiefs have the best home field advantage ever, and the NFL is going to make sure they don't lose at home unless they completely collapse. I know you're thinking Houston could be the upset. Not happening. No, not happening. Houston, even if I thought that it was going to be a fair game for Houston, which it won't be, let's say it was, that quarterback's not going to just turn into a good quarterback. He's bad right now. Stroud is bad. The most underreported story of the year is how bad CJ Stroud has been versus how good he was last year. That's huge. Almost dropped my water. That's huge. So I don't see that happening. The wide receivers are dinged up. Andy Reid's unstoppable as a coach. He's unflappable. You can't outcoach him. He's the best coach in the game right now. Obviously in the playoffs, he's the best coach in the NFL. He's the best coach in the playoffs. I can't think of a better coach right now that's playing. Now, if the Jets get Ryan, which I'm so excited about, he would make Rodgers lethal, because that's what Rodgers needs. He needs a coach. Saleh is a mess because the guy's got too much pride, and he's really tough to work with. If he goes to the Niners, he's going to make it worse. I hope they don't do that. I'm not a Niners fan, but I just think it's going to be bad for the Niners. My point is, going back to coaching, there isn't a better coach in the playoffs right now than Andy Reid. And DeMeco Ryans is a good coach. I love him. He's not Andy Reid. He's not going to be. So take that one off the table. The only other potential upset that's left would be Washington, the 6th seed, beating the Lions. And I don't think it's going to happen, but it's a possibility. So that being said, wow, guys, so it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed the recap of our wild card weekend. Let me give you my predictions for the upcoming games. I am going to, and we'll go back to this. Here are my predictions for week 2 of the playoffs, 2025. Here we go. I do think that Detroit will win at home. I'll just take that. Let's just take that. I'm not calling an upset. I'm just saying I won't be surprised. I do think Detroit wins by 7 at home against the Commanders. It's been a good run, Commanders, but it's not going to get you to the big dance. Keep trying. I love what we saw this year. Tomorrow, this is not next week, but I'll just say I expect the Rams to beat the Vikings. I expect, you could call that an upset. I wouldn't. I expect the Rams to beat the Vikings at home by 3, and they'll play the Eagles. I believe the Eagles will beat down the Rams dramatically. Okay, so Eagles, I predict Eagles and Lions are going to get out of the next round. Chiefs automatic. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. You know why. And now, so let's talk about Baltimore, Buffalo. Talked about it a little earlier. I love Allen. I think he's just as good as Jackson. I think Jackson and Allen are like the same cat. The skills are uh, so clearly um, aligned. I do think Allen has the accuracy down. I think he's a better gunslinger. Both guys are super tough, and both guys are really fast. Um, Jackson has the edge on the ground though, because he can go for 100 yards. Because and they have the better coach with Baltimore, and they've designed that system around him. Not so much in Buffalo, but they've designed that a system around Lamar Jackson. I think Bills Mafia will be pleased to say that I take the Bills by 3. Another close game. I take the Bills by a field goal at home. It's just too tough to beat the Buffaloes at home right now. The Bills at home, the Buffs. It's tough to beat the Buffalo Bills at home right now. They have really proven themselves. 15-2 is not an accident. They're very, very good. And I saw was some very aggressive football today. They were very aggressive, more aggressive than I thought they needed to be, but I like what I saw with their aggressiveness. So I hate to say it about Baltimore. I want both teams to play the Chiefs. I want to see both teams get there. Somebody's got to lose, and it's going to be Baltimore. One, I just don't think their reason. I don't think their receiving crew is going to. I don't think they're clutch, and I do think if you shake up Jackson, he's going to press and throw an interception or two. I do think the Bills could do that as well, but the Bills bounce back better. I do think you got more turnovers for Baltimore. I don't think you're going to get as many turnovers with the Bills, and I think it could come down to a turnover this game. I think the receiving core for the Ravens are just so young. You got a lot of veterans. I'm going to say the running game. Look, I got to be honest, Cook. And, obviously Henry's a monster. I think he's the best running back in the game, better than Barkley. I think Henry should be the MVP. He's still in the playoffs. Barkley's still in the playoffs. I think Henry's going to have a better playoffs. We'll see next week. But Cook, you can't count him out, and that guy's a monster. He had a huge game today. He's very vital to the Bills' offense. So, I mean, I got to give me some Bills. And that's what I just think. I think it's going to come down to a turnover. I think it's going to come down to a kick, and I think the Bills win in those arenas. And I think home field's really important. So I go with my prediction: KC Bills and Lions Eagles. Lion Eagles is pretty easy to pick. I think the toughest game is going to be really to pick is the Baltimore Buffalo. Now, if that shakes out, that would be exciting. If it doesn't shake out, if Washington gets past Detroit, that's going to be really exciting too. And if Baltimore beats the Bills, hey, I'm happy with that. That's going to be great. And whoever plays the Chiefs, it's going to be really important to see, it's going to be important to see that game before they get there, right? It's going to be important to see how the Bills win or how the Ravens win. And it's also going to be interesting to see how the referees ref the game against Houston, because that's a cakewalk. But if the Chiefs get into some trouble, will the refs bail them out? 100%. I know the NFL would rather take the criticism that they cheated versus letting the Chiefs lose and the three-peat is over. The Bills are the most expensive brand probably in the world right now, next to Caitlin Clark, honestly, and the Fever. The Bills are huge. I'm sorry. The Chiefs are huge. I'm sorry if I mixed up the teams. It's late, a lot going on. It's very important for the Kansas City Chiefs to get into the Super Bowl and get a three-peat for the NFL. So I kind of feel like a lot of this is just kind of elementary talk, because it's all like hypothetical, because whoever faces the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, you're not going to get the flag. You're not. You're going to lose. That's how I feel. So Chiefs fans, you're mad at me because I say your team is a bunch of cheaters, But I'm telling you, you're going to get what you want. You mad at me because of that? You're mad at me either way. Whatever. Fuck you guys. We all know your team gets a lot of help from the NFL. Look, I don't honestly, and I'll sign off, but I'll say this. I don't think they're better than the Bills. Let me just reframe this for you. I know the Chiefs aren't as good as the Ravens. They're not as good as the Lions. They're not as good as the Eagles. They're not as good as the Bills. I don't even think they're as good as Washington. But what I do know is that Mahomes rules. You can't touch the guy without a 15-yard. They poke you in the eye. They face mask. They hold on every play. They get away with murder, and they get all sorts of flags and help. So they should be, not in my opinion, without the NFL help, with all the questionable calls, they shouldn't even be in playoffs. They shouldn't have home field advantage, but they do, and we have to live with it. So that's how I feel about the Chiefs. Again, later on, we're going to talk more about that, and we're going to get into it, guys. I'm out. This live stream's been fun. I love talking NFL. I was going to have some friends join me. It didn't quite work out, but it's all good. My name is Jason J. Daniel. You can follow me on TikTok if you want. I'm Coach Goat on TikTok, but I don't have it on the graphic because it doesn't look good for TikTok. Oh, let's talk about that in a second. But just again, if you're watching this, please subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Rumble, or follow me on X. I'm streaming to all three of those platforms right now. I'm about to add Twitch, which is going to be dope. We're going to drop this podcast to Spotify and Apple. I'm going to get some guests going. We've had a few guests, but we've been warming up. We had a preseason. This is a new podcast. Even though, I took a break. I did 100 shows before, and I took a break over the years. I've been podcasting for about 8 years, but I decided to get back in. So now it's a brand new thing. So please follow me on Snap, IG, Rumble. I'm at Jason J. Daniel everywhere. I'm really lucky. I was able to get my name years ago on every app. So follow me there, and I'm active on all of these apps. The podcast is only, and also Facebook, Jason J. Daniel Show on Facebook. I have 1,100 followers on my Facebook show page. Crazy, right? On the podcast show page. So, and then I have a companion that has another 1,500. So I have over 3,000 followers on Facebook. So you can find me there as well. Check that out. And last thing I'll say before I go is the TikTok ban. Let me address that. It looks real. It's not looking good. TikTok is at the Supreme Court. They did their arguments where they were at the Supreme Court with it this week. They did their arguments. And the Supreme Court does not look like, from what the news is reporting, doesn't look like they're leaning towards lifting the ban. So 2 reasons why I'm okay with that, even though I shouldn't be. One, I've been on TikTok for a whole year. I have almost 700, almost 7,700 followers. I have subscribers as well. I'm monetized on TikTok. I make money. Okay. But I want them to ban it. I do. I'll tell you why. It sucks. But one, I really believe in free speech strongly. And there's no free speech on TikTok. I've had so many battles with TikTok, and a lot of creators have. Thousands of creators. You put something on TikTok, the AI will shadow ban or pull it down, and it sends you a message. It's super nasty and aggressive. So for every if you look on my TikTok page, I got 800 TikToks or something in the last. For every one TikTok or 2 TikToks, I've had one banned. So I've had to pull. I have 400 TikToks that have been pulled. So maybe the math is one for every 2. It's crazy. And I get them pulled. I get shadow banned. And it's not even politics. It's sports. I don't even have free speech on TikTok with sports. But I love talking WNBA on TikTok. I do on TikTok. I'm 30 million views in a year, 1 million a month. I get a lot of views on TikTok and monetized. But it's just really tough. For example, when I create a podcast and stream it, it's on. Now, YouTube may pull it after the fact, but it's on and it gets views and it's out there, and my show gets, between 4,000 and 400. That's kind of how my shows are doing, right? Those, in between, counting all of the apps I'm streaming to. So, but I have free speech. It gets out there, no troubles. TikTok pulls your stuff, man. If it doesn't like a word you said, you have to play the word game. It's extremely woke. And I'm not saying that derogatory, but it's just extremely toxic to be a creator, put something on TikTok and be worried about it being pulled. And then you put an hour into it, 10 minutes, 15. You just can't predict. So it's for creators, unless you're gyrating and dancing around or half naked or whatever, being honest, or putting out fake news and shit, you can't get anything done with TikTok. So it needs it needs to be sold to an American company because all of our data is going to China. Not getting political on you, but I'm being honest. So I think it's more important for it to be corrected and banned than for us to continue the way it's continuing. If Trump does save TikTok, which people are hoping he does, he's going to make them sell it to probably Facebook or Elon. Let's be honest here. Everybody, even Amazon, maybe all the big players are trying to buy TikTok. That's what's going on behind the scenes. That's why the tech giants are meeting with him and also other things. But TikTok must be broke up. It must be sold. There's a lot of billionaires involved and multimillionaires trying to get TikTok sold. Also, TikTok servers are all in China. You didn't know that, did you? And the US and China. Okay. So TikTok, if they are banned, their servers have to shut down. So we're probably going to get a message saying this app is not available in your country or territory and we're shut down. If they don't do that, we're not going to get updates. Now, this is reporting I've been reading. The updates won't happen and the app will be obsolete in 30 days because I guess they aggressively update TikTok more than you might realize. So that being said, the app will be obsolete. Why create content? It's basically a shadow ban. Everyone's going to drop off. Who wants to be on that app if you can't get anything done? Monetization is going to die. It is over. So if it is banned, it will be resurrected probably 4 or 5 months later with a new company buying it. If TikTok takes the ban and just changes their servers, which they could put them offshore somewhere, it's going to be, from what they're saying, it will be buggy. It will crash. The updates won't happen like you want them, and it's going to be slow to process because every time you make a move, it's going to a server in the United States. If you're an American or in the States using it, if you have to make moves and it's going to China or going to the Cayman Islands or Bahamas, it's going to be buggy. Okay. And yes, a lot of crypto people are out of the US with their servers because they can get away with it and there's no regulations, but that's different. We're not talking about moving video and packets of intense data that have to be fast and all these things and comments. You're not dealing with that on the TikTok. I'm sorry, you're not dealing with that on crypto. It's not the same animal. So that being said, if you're following me on TikTok, I'm going to release a video in the next few days that will tell you how to find me. If you're watching this, then you've already found me. So if you want to keep watching me, continue to subscribe, like, or share these videos. It would be appreciative. Even if you don't disagree with everything I'm saying and you enjoy what's going on, please like or share. Also, if you want to be a part of my football talk or a part of anything I do, I can bring you on through Rumble. So send me a DM or send me a message. Well, it's tough to DM me because I get thousands of DMs, so I have them turned off in comments. But hit me up in the comments section. Let me know you want to be a part and follow me. Actually, I'll say this. If you follow me on X, you can DM me because followers can DM me. And if you follow me on TikTok, you can DM me. And if you place a comment on YouTube, I'm seeing all those are on Rumble. So if you're interested in joining the show, go ahead and comment and I will send you the information. There's a few steps you have to do, but you can be a part of the podcast and I'd really appreciate it. So guys, this has been a lot of fun and I'm going to sign off. And that being said, hey, check me out I have a show every couple of days, maybe 3 shows a week. Obviously on the weekends, we're going to have some shows. So check out the podcast after football and definitely X is where I'm most active. You can follow me on IG as well. But X is the place to be, and I'll keep giving you updates. We're going to have a lot of cool shows coming up. That being said, thanks, guys, for everything. And I want to take a moment while I sign off to say this. podcast is produced by Hollywood Zombie Productions. Have a fantastic week.